So here's the surprise ending, or plot twist, if you will. I have intent when it comes to my content, and that intent is to free your mind. This is video number 4. The first one, I showed you what they're doing, using computers and AI to do things like read our inner thoughts and put voices in our head, change our memories. Video number 2, I showed you how they're doing it. Smart dust, nanotechnology, things like that. The third video, we talked about how it's all about transferring and collecting data, the Internet of Things, the Internet of Bodies. I also brought up the we live in a simulation theory because there's just something more to this whole thing. And there's definitely something more to this. Let's put this puzzle together. This is Alfred Sheckel, labeled a visual artist, but our missing puzzle piece. But old Alfred here was a lot more than a visual artist. He was also a cognitive neuroscientist, an author, and the leading authority in optical illusions. He was also the co-creator of the Darwin fish symbol. This thing right here. But anyway, Alfred studied optical illusions. He even wrote books on it, all with some pretty interesting titles, one being The Masters of Deception. He was the leading voice between mixing science and optical illusion. So much so he gave lectures at Caltech, Berkeley, MIT, Harvard, Oxford, even in front of the World Economic Forum. He was known as the Illusionist. There's actually a movie title just like that. Should probably check it out. Now this is where the weird simulation theory comes into play. See, Sheckel used to throw parties in Southern California for some of the world's elite scientists, physicists, even celebrities. But they're not the parties you would think they are. See, he would go from what we call Airbnbs today, different apartments. And these parties, there was no skinny dipping, no drugs, no ice sculptors, no caterers, nothing like that. They would just sit and listen to this man talk about illusions.
What I'm going to try and do in my lectures, go a little bit further and see if I can violate your expectations in a pleasing way. I mean, sometimes expectations that are violated are not pleasant, but I'm going to try to do it in a pleasant way, in a very primal way, so I can make the audience here happy.
And if you're wondering if science and illusions is mixed, there you go. But parties and lectures wasn't the only thing that old Alfred here was doing. You see, Alfred was the one that helped Jeffrey Epstein hold scientific conferences on Little St. James Island. You know, the one full of 21 of the world's top physicists, Nobel Prize winners, celebrities. You want a list? Here you go. Jet propulsionists, Princeton University alumni, even scientists from CERN. You know, the one Stephen Hawking was at. Who, by the way, enjoyed the submarine that goes to Little St. James Island. You know, Terramar, if you know, you know. There was actually 2 different scientific conferences at Little St. James Island. The other one was some of the world's top scientists coming together to talk about the greatest threats to the Earth. Now, let's look at some dates. The first conference at Epstein Island was in March 2006. The first accusation on Epstein came out in 2005. The second conference, March 2012. Epstein's conviction, 2008. So all these people knew what he could be or what he already was when they went to these conferences. But that's definitely not it. Because you see, Alfred's wife, Isabel Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's sister, and current technology pioneer for the World Economic Forum. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Oh, and if you're curious why you've never heard of this man, it's because his body was found back in 2022 at the bottom of a cliff that had been eaten by wild boars. Weird how that keeps happening. So as far as technology inside the body, am I blind to the benefits of it? No. Do I personally trust the people developing it right now? Absolutely not. Y'all stay safe.